Hi, and welcome to this video. No books were harmed in the making of this video. Today I'm gonna give you some summer book recommendations because when I'm currently filming in a couple days it's gonna be 30 degrees Celsius. So I thought let's give you some summer book recommendations to cool you down with. These books are gonna be perfect to cool you down in the hot summer and drink with a nice coffee. So let's get started. Okay, the first book that I'm going to recommend for this summer is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This book takes place in the winter. There's a lot of snow in this book, a lot of ice, so I think it's the perfect book to cool down with. This book is about Emily Wilde. She's a professor who studies fairies and she goes to this winter landscape to find the folk there. However, she has a lot of trouble with the people who live there, so she'll need the help of another professor to complete her encyclopedia. I actually read this book for the first time in the summer, I think a couple years ago, so I was reading this when it was really hot outside, and it talks a lot about this winter landscape with lots of snow, lots of ice, and I think it will cool you down. This book I think I gave 4.5 stars, but the other books in the trilogy are also very lovely, so I would recommend them all to you, but I believe this one specifically takes place in the snow, so I think this is perfect for a cool summer. I actually have a full non-spoiler reading vlog reading all the 3 books in the trilogy, so I will link that up for you if you want to watch that, but this is going to be my first recommendation. The next book that I'm going to recommend is also a romance, and it's from Lukov with Love. This book is about 2 figure skaters who cannot stand each other, but they have to compete together to win prizes, and there's this enemies to lovers rivalry thing going. Because they're figure skaters, a lot of this takes place on the ice, so I think it will be a good book for the summer. I personally did not enjoy the romance of this book so much, but it's possible that you will love it, so that's why I still want to recommend it. It doesn't mean that because I didn't love it, it's not a good book, or that you won't love it, so that's why I'm recommending this book to you. I'll always say try out books for yourself, and maybe books that I don't like you will absolutely love. It's about figure skating, enemies to lovers, trust, Grumpy versus Sunshine. If you love that kind of thing, then maybe this is the right book for you. The next books that I'm going to recommend will not include any ice or snow, but will have the most insufferable characters of all time. These people will leave you with no warm feelings at all. They truly have a heart of ice. First one that I'll recommend is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This main character is really insufferable. Yellowface is a story about June, who steals the manuscript of her friend Athena, and then Athena dies and June decides to publish it under her own name. So Athena cannot say that it was actually her manuscript. However, people do get suspicious because it sounds too much like Athena, and it is about Asian heritage, and June is not Asian. So June tries to play it off as her own book and kind of become Athena in a way, but she gets haunted by the guilt. And that is what this book is about. So June is not a good character at all. She is ice cold to just steal a manuscript from her friend and publish it under her own name. She also just tries to be something that she's not. I really enjoyed the story. I think actually drew in this book. I don't know why, but okay. It was a couple of years ago that I read this, and I still think about this story. It's so relevant and so good, and yeah, it's really easy to read through as well. So fast paced, and you really want to know if June gets what she deserves. So that's the third book recommendation. Now, I cannot make this video without giving you a classic book recommendation. So for the ice cold people, we have The Picture of Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray is of course known for having his portrait painted and then doing such horrible things, but he himself does not age, but the portrait does. So this is quite a small classic about someone who is so selfish, so insufferable. He feels so entitled to everything because he looks so good. His actions do not matter as long as he looks good, and as long as the painting keeps aging instead of him, he sees nothing wrong. So this is definitely an entitled, insufferable main character who will leave you with no warm feelings at all. I actually really enjoyed this book. It's one of the first classics that I read, and still one of my favorites to this day. I actually want to reread it soon. I might reread it this summer. It's so enjoyable and good and interesting. There's so many themes discussed. I mean, his appearance is just one of them. There are so many other themes as well. So It's definitely an interesting read, and I would definitely recommend that you pick this up if you haven't yet. Another book that will definitely cool you down this summer is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. Now this book also includes snow, but it also deals with terrible injustices that will leave you with no warm feelings. This is quite a small book that deals with a very vague problem, in my opinion. I actually wanted it to be much longer than it currently is. In 1985, Bill Furlong, a coal and timber merchant, faces his busiest season. As he goes around the houses making deliveries, he feels the past rising up to meet him and encounters the complicit silences of a small community controlled by the church. So it's quite a heavy book. It's full of snow. I can't tell you too much because it's so small, I'm gonna give it away, but it's definitely intriguing. As I said, I would have wanted it to be a bit longer, but I don't want to say too much because it's quite short and I don't want to give it away, but I think this is a good read for the summer if you want to cool down and think about some stuff. Now for the last book that is also quite short and will leave you with no warm feelings at all. It's I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I read this last month and it's just completely blown me away. It's such a good book. I would highly recommend it, but it's also very bleak and heavy. It's this dystopian fictional world where 40 women are locked in a basement in a cage and they cannot get out. They don't know what's out there, they don't know why they're there, they don't have any answers. It's a very philosophical book that talks about what the meaning of life is when you're stuck in the same space for so long and when you don't know the answers. It's a small book, but it will definitely leave a big impact. I still think about this book a lot. I would definitely recommend that you read this for yourself if you're in the right headspace to do so, and I would love to hear what you think of this. I think you can have so many great discussions about this book. If you would like, I can also make a video discussing this book because I just think there's so much to say. There's so many topics to talk about. It's very philosophical and I love that about a book. As long as you don't spiral into these negative thoughts, I think this book is very wonderful and thought-provoking. So those are the books that I would recommend to cool off this summer. We have snow, ice, insufferable characters with a cold heart, and just books that will leave you with no warm feelings at all, and hopefully you will get through the hot days of this summer. I just can't wait for autumn to be here, but we first have to get through the hot months. I would love to know if you have any summer book recommendations, so let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!